Hey everybody, welcome to our Learning at Lunch webinar. We're excited to have Karen Janowski back. We're going to talk about technology for executive function in the workplace. I will not waste any of Karen's time by chatting, but I just wanted to say thank you for coming and joining us. And keep an eye out on our website for more webinars. We have a handful that we're just finalizing details on. A couple different series of webinars, a bunch of different topics, a bunch of different presenters, all of them half-hour long. Our website is at4nj, the number 4, at4nj.org. So again, thanks for being here, Karen. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, thanks. Great to be here again. And this is another exciting topic to talk about. If people are interested in following along on their own and with their own version of this presentation, it's bit.ly/EF and then the date today. And this is case sensitive. And Mike, would you just drop that into the chat? That would be great too. So that way you have your own version of this, because I embed links throughout the presentation. So just a little bit about me. I'm an assistive technology consultant. I am passionate about inclusive technology, about reaching every student, every learner, every adult through the use of technology, because I really believe technology makes all the difference to bypass a lot of the challenges for successful completion of independent living skills. So I'm out of Reading, Mass. Here's a quick thing about executive functioning skills defined. I won't even go through it because there's so much that I do want to cover. There's a great deal of information to really better understand executive functions, but here are some of the basic ones that you can follow along with. The executive functions then also have to do with cognitive flexibility, impulse control, working memory, which those are the areas that impact goal-directed persistence, the ability to sustain attention, metacognitive strategies, planning and organization, and time management. These are all very important in the workplace as well as even K through 12 schools. So it's important to understand that most of the executive function skill development occurs during the school years, and then it pretty much maxes out by around the mid-20s. And for men, sorry about this, Mike, but for men it is often delayed a little bit more, but we don't have to get into that point right now because I really want to get into, let's talk about the tools. So here is, Dawson and Guare have written a lot of great books, Smart but Scattered, so that they are the experts, some of the experts around executive functions, and they've written a questionnaire. And if you click on this link right here, it will take you to the questionnaire itself. And if you want to adapt this to adults, you absolutely can. It can work for, the way I see it is it can work for any age. And so here's the executive skills questionnaire. What students or adults need to do is just grab a number here. I don't jump to conclusions. So then they go from 1 to 7. And then they get a total score for each area, each subcategory. And then at the end, it gives them an idea of where their strengths are and where their weaknesses are. And that's kind of helpful to help students even gain an awareness of their own executive function skills and areas to strengthen. So they created this. It's from the book Executive Skills in Children and Adolescents. So, and then they also do develop a plan for designing interventions. You can use that if you want, but the big thing is to just help people increase their understanding of where their own executive function strengths and areas to strengthen lie. So we'll go back here. I also have a link to the Amazon books that they have authored if you are interested in learning more. So let's talk about some general guidelines really quickly. Tools matter. Tools matter. It does matter. I know people say that technology, it's not about the technology, but it really is when we want to help someone become successful and independent. So we want to carefully select the appropriate tools, and we can use the SET framework even with working with adults. What are they? It would be wouldn't be S for students, but it would be an adaptation of that. And because it all depends on what tasks do they need to be able to do, and then you make the tool recommendations. And it's all about building strategic competence. How can we help support those with whom we work to build strategic competence? Very often with executive function skill deficits, people don't know that plan A doesn't work, so they don't even know about a plan B, C, or D. So it's helping them identify where the breakdown is and problem solve solutions to build strategic competence. So always use what is readily available. Everybody seems to have a smartphone. So are we using what is readily available? And if you just want to add in the chat the features of your own phones that help you to manage your time and to be productive and organized, feel free to add what you use yourself, because it oftentimes starts with what we feel comfortable with that we can then share with others. Yes, Google Keep, absolutely. So just add what you use: voice recording, labeled alarms, Google Keep, Evernote. Evernote and Google Keep are just awesome options. The voice recorder, post-it notes, Todoist. Thank you. Keep them coming. Photos, yes. So one of the things that we absolutely want to make sure, especially if we're thinking about students, they all know how to use their phones for Snapchat and TikTok and gaming, but they don't necessarily know how to use their phones to help them in managing their day. And I think that that's also true. One of the things I've been working recently with a college group, a higher ed group, and they are talking about the students that they're inheriting from high school really are clueless about how to use technology to help them as learners or to help them in the workplace. So we really want to make sure that we offer explicit instruction. People with executive function skills need a two-pronged approach to managing that. And the first part of the prong is explicit instruction. Don't assume that they can figure it out on their own. So at that explicit strategy instruction, the second part is that the environment is set up to help them be successful. So for example, minimizing the amount of paper for which they're responsible, things like that. So the use of camera, taking pictures of things, adding voice comments, using the Clips app, using timers and alarms in the clock for different sounds for different features, and then you can repeat them throughout the day. So using, just even using what is readily available. Let me see if anyone else. Markup feature and photos, yes. Calendar and alarms. So those of you who added that information, are you sharing that? Are you showing your students, the adults with whom you coach or consult, whatever it is, are you showing them those same strategies that you find helpful, just to help them start to develop their own technology toolkit? We also absolutely want to use the reminders function. Unbelievable. One of the things that I use all the time, I use the Siri commands a lot. And I use them with reminders. Like I'll say, Siri, remind me when I get to my office to finish that eval. Or Siri, remind me when I get to Costco to buy eggs and butter. I mean, it could be whatever it is. So then when I get to my office, that reminder shows up. Or when I get to Costco, that reminder shows up. Or Siri, remind me when I get home, and then you can add in whatever reminder you need. It's really an awesome feature. And I have noticed you don't need to use the location feature, but it certainly does make it easier when you use it with Siri. And the other thing too is you don't even have to use Siri. You can just set a reminder and add it in as you can add in manually the location. You can also manually add in the priority as well. So another way that we think about that two-pronged approach is we want to make sure that we're providing the digital supports. Go digital and go paperless. It's much easier for people to find an email, especially in the workplace. Send an email instead of just, a conversation, because then you can always go back and search for it. So when things are digital, they are searchable. So let's talk a little bit about time management. We have to understand that there really are a few different things to consider around time management. First of all, the ability to tell time. And it'll be interesting to see with this generation how the lack of analog clocks is impacting their understanding of the passage of time, and how it's impacting their ability to estimate time and their time awareness. The digital clock doesn't really show the passage in the same way as the visual representation of it, of the analog clock. And we do see that that is impacting people. So this is all part of understanding time management. One of the things about managing time management as well is that goal-directed persistence. They call it, Dawson and Guare call it the GDP, the ability to follow through to the completion of a goal and not be put off by other demands or competing interests. You want to see whatever it is that you need to complete it. So that's goal-directed persistence. It's an important concept when we think about time management. So let's talk about some of those time management tools that help develop goal-directed persistence. One of them is considering the Pomodoro Technique. And in fact, many of the time management tools are based around the Pomodoro Technique. And this is, Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato. It was developed by an Italian man back in the 1980s. Cirillo was his name. What he found, he wanted to stay focused, and he decided that and what he discovered was, to stay focused, you have to work with time, not against it. So he decided to set up blocks of time of 25 minutes at a time, and he used one of those red tomato timers, and that's where the name Pomodoro came from, because he was using one of those red tomato timers and setting up his time for focused activity for 25 minutes at a time, and then he would take a break. So this link right here is a great link because it takes you to a number of tools that are, in fact, here, let me just show it to you. A number of tools that are built on the Pomodoro Technique, and there are 20 Pomodoro Technique apps to try in the 2020s. So this is a new article. It was just, it says published a year ago, but there's still really some great, it explains what the Pomodoro Technique is, and then you can get into some of the tools that are available for you to use. So we'll go back. But the other thing I want you to get access to is, I created a Padlet, and the embedded link will take you right to the Padlet. But if you would like, if at another time you lose the link, it's bit.ly/Padlet with an uppercase P 5820. This is actually from a presentation I gave on that day. And that Padlet is filled with information, and I actually am going to use it in, I want the captions to continue, so I'm going to open it up in Safari so the captions will continue. I just need to move the chat out of the way. So here's a Padlet filled, it's a resource that you can use, filled with different tools for time management, organization, study skills and research, regulation and emotional control, and then some additional options as well. And I'm going to first start with the time management and productivity area. And one of the things, some of our adults as well as students really struggle with the understanding of time estimation. And this link here will take you to a worksheet where what you will have the individual do is estimate how long a task they think it will take, and then they time themselves. So actually, let me just take you there. It is, so here's a task analysis and time estimation worksheet. It's just a Google Doc, nothing's fancy about it. It's a Word document, whatever. So estimated time to complete the task, actual time to complete the task, and then the difference between the estimate and the actual. And this starts to help people increase their time awareness. How long do they think something will take? So that's a starting place. And then once you have those kinds of ideas and people are improving their understanding of their time awareness, here is a video that was a really nice video that you could share. And it helps them to understand the method, the Pomodoro Technique. One of the things too that's really helpful, because very often we find people get distracted when they're online or on their iPads, iPhones, whatever. And there are a few free tools that allow you to track what you're doing online. Rescue Time is one of them. And what it is, and if we go here, it works in the background and it allows you to take back control of your time. And there is a free version. You can get the premium features for 14 days, but the free version is perfect. What it does is every week it gives you a graph of how you have been using your time online. So it sends you an email, which can really be helpful when you're working with people who just get lost and go into that rabbit hole. And maybe they just go from one gaming site to another, but this helps you to really track what you're doing. So that's a tool. Now, the feature that on the iOS devices, it also does every Sunday morning, you get that notification that tells you how you've been using your device. And so that's another tool that can help us track how we are using our time effectively on our devices. Sometimes it just helps to just turn up the device altogether. So here are some other options: Dayboard, Focus Booster, Toggle, Focus at Will. There's also Forest, which is kind of a cool thing. And the longer you stay focused, then it allows you to build this forest, which is kind of cool. I also want to talk about organization. So I noticed some people did mention, oh, thank you, did mention Google Keep and Evernote. And I did put Google Keep under the organization category. I didn't put Evernote there because it has a premium version. You can only have it be on 2 devices. Other than that, then it does cost additional money. But Google Keep is phenomenal because it's device agnostic. It works across all of your devices. And Mike, I know this is one of your absolute favorite tools. So I can try it for free. I will log in. Let me see where my login is. Oh, well, get Keep. Oh, I'm actually in Safari. So you can add sticky notes, you can add to-do lists with checklists, you can add audio notes and audio comments, you can add pictures. One of the things with the audio notes that is really cool when you use the speech recognition feature, what it does is it converts your audio note, it saves the audio note as an audio, but it also converts it into text. And that can be really helpful as well. So Google Keep is a phenomenal tool to help with organization, managing to-do lists, keeping yourself in one platform and being productive across all different environments. You can color code things. It's really very helpful for students as well as any of us who are working. So just wanted to mention that. I also want to show you, if you're working with students, college students, one of the things around time management, I just do want to make sure that this gets mentioned. There are different colleges, different higher ed facilities do have their own assignment calculator, but here's one that's freely available, and let me just show you what it does. So it's a project management tool for students. Date you will begin the assignment. So let's say we'll start it today, and then we'll put in a ending date of 6/21. And we will say the subject area of the assignment is, let's say, education. And then we'll calculate what it is. So it says right away, we can change the dates, but we have 30 days to complete the assignment. And now here we can log in, and it divides it step by step by days, how we can better manage our time. Because for some people with executive function skills that it's 30 days, I've got plenty of time. And then that tyranny of the urgent, which is true for me, but they wait until the last minute. And this helps them divide up how they could effectively use those 30 days. Is anyone using a tool like the assignment calculator? Because it's not just limited to higher ed, it can also be used for high school as well. And it could even be adapted for adults. So I just do want to make sure that you know about a tool like that. So tools for organization. The big reason, why do we even want to have technology for organization? And it's so much easier to manage our materials when they are searchable and trackable, and we can retrieve them. We can use key terms to help us identify what we want to find again. So those paper handouts, whatever it is, those are easily lost. But one thing that if you are getting a handout at work or at school or wherever you are, take a picture of the handout, and then at least then you can save it into different Google Drive folders, and then it'll be easily searchable. And with Evernote, it's also searchable by handwriting and by words, even if it is a picture, which is really helpful. So we can look again now. We'll go back to the Padlet, and we'll go back here. So the other thing too I mentioned, before we forget, before we run out of time, I do want to mention DGO for organization. Is anyone using DGO? What DGO is, it's an online tool to help you organize your searches online. So let me just show you what that looks like. So I will go back to this page and open up my DGO account. It's a social bookmarking tool, but the power of it is in the ability to annotate what you have searched for online, which can save you a great deal of time. When we think about time management, when you don't have to go back and reread that article. So for example, here's something that I just saved. So all of my bookmarks, instead of having a long bookmark trail right here, instead I have everything saved by different search terms. So for example, Mike did this great New Hampshire AT Fair yesterday, so I saved that schedule at a glance. I can always retrieve it in my DGO account, and there's the keyword that I used. Here's an article that I read, and what's nice about this tool too is it does show you when you when you saved it. It also shows you the number of annotations that you have. So I don't even have to go back to the article itself. I can see what I've saved in the article right here on the DGO website. So that can be very powerful. So for example, if I want to find any article that I have found online and I have tagged it executive function. So here are all, so I have 26 results for EF. So anything that I have tagged EF, I can just quickly find it again. And if I've saved, so here's an article where I did show those annotations. Again, I don't even need to read that again. I can also add notes. So that's a really helpful tool for time management and productivity. So it's amazing how quickly half an hour passes. So those working memory supports, again, emails, Google Keep, they can be your frontal lobe. So think about those options. Keep Google Keep and Evernote. And the one thing I do want you to keep in mind is technology can't fix executive function skills, but it can accommodate for them. So before you leave, just make sure that you have this particular resource available to you. We focused especially today on time management, productivity, and organization, but there are some great resources here for study skills and for regulating emotional control. SAM is a really great tool. And so think about coming back to this resource if you want to explore some of the other areas that are mentioned here. So any, oh, I hear Julia. So at this point, if there are questions, so we whipped right through that. The big thing that I wanted you to get out of this is to use that Padlet, to share that Padlet, and to know that, and you can even add some of your own recommendations to it as well. Any questions about what we covered today? I love these 30-minute chunks of learning at lunch. It's really great because the Pomodoro method actually says we can sustain attention for 25 minutes. And this kind of a webinar really does help us do that. So
I
we
agree.
work for about 25 minutes. We can have questions for a few minutes, and then we can move on with our day. And I'm here in Massachusetts, and we have an absolutely gorgeous day. I don't know where you are, but we haven't had great weather yet, but it's beautiful today.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? So if not, just feel free. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Karen Jan. You can email me if you have any questions, karen.janowski@gmail.com. And I thank you so much for spending time together today.
Thanks, Karen. As always, it's awesome. Can you share the bit.ly one more time for the slides? Do you know what it is
The
off the top of your head?
slide, absolutely. It is, let me just go to slide.
I just saw
I'll show it
somebody
again.
ask.
Let's just, whoops. Why? I should have it memorized. Sorry, Mike, I
No,
don't.
no, that's all right.
So it was bit.ly / I think I said EF 52120.
That's what it is. Yeah, I just went back in the messages and found it. So it's bit.ly/EF52120.
I'm
Awesome.
like you. I try to make them memorable and easy to retrieve.
Yeah,
And when you
it's
put
perfect.
dates on them, typically people they're it's a bit.ly that you can use again, that you can use that no one else has used.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
we'll
Awesome.
so thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Karen.
Mike.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Be well. Like Karen says, get outside, get a little sun.
Yeah. Step away from the
That's
technology.
right, exactly. Thanks, Karen. I'll talk to you.
Thanks. See you. Bye, Mike.
See ya.